Good afternoon to everyone who has joined us for this webinar today. Today's webinar is about education in Germany, how to apply to universities, job and work opportunities, and life in Germany. So some of you have just started learning German and want to go to Germany because of their no tuition fee policy. And that's why you are here today to explore more about Germany. And then some of you have been learning German for a while and have already started applying to universities or are about to start, and you need some guidance with the admission formalities. And then some of you are currently studying in Germany. So we have taken a wide range of topics today. The first half of this webinar is about job and work opportunities and life in Germany. And in the second half of this webinar, we will be covering how to apply at German universities, how to shortlist universities, and a very important or a trending topic at the moment, which is APS. So now there are a few instructions before we proceed further. We know that you people have a lot of questions and we would also want to answer all your questions. But apart from the speakers, I would request all of you to keep yourself muted. You can obviously put your questions in the chat box and we will try our level best to answer all your questions. In case your questions remain unanswered, then we will reach out to each one of you personally and we'll answer those questions. But we don't want that everyone starts unmuting themselves to ask their questions, because this would disturb the flow of this webinar and we wouldn't want it to go in a different direction altogether. So we would really appreciate if you could keep your mics off. And now I would like to introduce our speakers for this webinar today, who will be answering your questions and will be sharing their experiences of living, working, and studying in Germany. So we have with us today Mr. Pavel Chatterjee. Pavel lives in Ilmenau and he has been living in Germany for many years. He has done his master's in digital engineering and is currently working. And he is also doing C1 with us right now. And Pavel obviously speaks very fluent German. So Pavel, how long have you been living in Germany? And why did you choose Germany as your destination country?
Yeah, thanks for the questions. So I chose, how long have I been living? It's around 6.5 years, almost touching 7. And I chose Germany as an option because I wanted to pursue masters first of all, and there were no option. There were only paid options elsewhere, let's say in America or Canada or somewhere else, or in Australia. But they had quite higher fees. So I found out from a friend, a colleague of mine, on the first day of my work, that actually there are options free universities where there's only tuition fees and everything, and so I can actually manage my my finance very well, and so that's why I decided for Germany. And one of the more important reasons, I would say, is I'm more culturally inclined towards European culture. I'm a photographer, so I wanted some change in my life, a new perspective. So Europe was always up there in the to-do list.
Okay.
So that's why I chose for Germany. Yeah.
And what do you work as now? And when did you complete your master's?
So I started my master's in 2016. I completed in 2019. Took me 3 years, and I did it at the Magdeburg University, and it's a public university also. And then in between I did a lot of part-time work, especially in my technical domain, let's say, because I did my practicum, I did my internships, that is, and also some Werkstudent positions, and also worked at the hotel in the back office. Okay. Let's say back office is cleaning in the hotels. Yeah.
Okay. And please talk us through the flexibility also of the German education system, because you said you took 3 years to complete your master's program. Some people take 4 years to complete their degree. Some people take more than 4 years as well. So how does this work in Germany, the flexibility of the education system?
I think the education system here is very flexible right now. It's tending towards a more flexible approach for students who are coming and who can actually start their studies, and thereafter they can also discontinue or have a pause in between, so that they can earn some money or go elsewhere, travel, or whatever you want. So there is an option to pause your studies. There's an option to stop your studies and continue working full time. And it is quite flexible. For me, it was not so. For me, it had to be one direction, that is to complete masters and then start with something else, with full-time work or something else. In between, I could do 120 days of full-time work at a work student or practicum, whatever. And I find that the situation right now is perfect, is fruitful for all of them who are coming over.
Right. So you have taken a 1 year break in between, right?
Yes, I took a
And,
1 year break, almost a 6 month break for my
mm,
practicum. It was not
okay.
a Pflicht practicum, that is, it's not a compulsory practicum, let's say. It
Mm,
was more on the lines of my own experience and also to earn a little bit of money to
mm,
sustain oneself. And so I chose to, I found an internship position
mm,
through a friend of mine at Audi, and I
mm.
did there for 6 months. Then I started my master thesis. I did this practicum only after completing my courses,
Okay.
the subjects.
Okay. And you started your master's program back in 2016. So how
Yes.
was your life back then as a student, and how is it now as a working professional in terms of lifestyle and free time and other things?
To be honest, I had much more free time during my studies, and I used to enjoy that because I used to study. I used to study and also travel a lot.
Hmm,
And studies was also the first few years were tough because the way the exams are conducted is a bit different. So
hmm,
it's much more focused towards your internal knowledge than just bugging up something.
hmm,
So I think it was a tough time for me in the first 2 years to get accustomed to all the exams.
hmm,
And fortunately, I didn't fail in any exam. And yes, and unfortunately, because of this, for the first 2 years, I couldn't travel much. But again, then afterwards, I started experiencing a little bit of German culture around, traveling to different cities, not only
hmm,
Germany but also Europe. So
hmm,
this was, I would say, the student life was quite well.
hmm,
Something that I can compare to my bachelor's. The
hmm,
freedom I had to choose the things I want to do.
hmm,
And after that, if you compare this to the life currently I do
hmm,
have time during
hmm,
weekends,
hmm,
or and but it's also it's very let's say unstringent. It's very tight. The schedule is quite tight, and so it's
hmm.
really tight because you need to plan a lot of things.
Right.
So in order to enjoy, so let's say I need to plan something for the next weekend to
Hmm.
actually have something going on next weekend. So it has to be very well planned.
Oh,
So
okay.
Germany, after coming to Germany, it taught
Hmm.
me a lot of time management skills.
All right, thanks for the insights, Pavel. And the participants will be obviously putting in their questions in the chat box. So then again, we'll be requiring your guidance and your
Sure,
suggestions. Yeah. Then
sure.
we have Mr. Vishant Singh with us. A lot of you know him already. Vishant has been associated with the Language House from its initial days and has always been an integral part of the Language House. So he completed his B2 with us in 2021 before going to Germany, and he's currently doing C1 along with Pavel. And he's also doing masters in management and technology of water and wastewater from Duisburg Essen University. And as soon as Vishant landed in Germany, I think in a couple of weeks only started working part-time. And I think Vishant got 2 to 3 part-time job opportunities. So Vishant, how did you apply for these part-time jobs? Which platforms did you use to find these jobs?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the nice introduction, Shubham.
Hmm,
Hello, guys. My name is Vishant Singh, and I'm living in Duisburg. I came here in Germany in November 2021,
hmm,
and as Shubham rightly said, I was able to get the job within, let's say, maximum of 1 month. Of course, with the paperwork and all. And the most important aspect, how did I find it? Yeah, that's the most important thing. People, when they land here, they are like, in unknown country, okay, how will I earn, what will happen, we don't know anyone, we don't know the language. So I would like to say, don't worry at all. Finding a job is very, very easy, and as you can see on the slide, there are multiple job applications website like Stepstone, Zing, Indeed, eBay. These are, yeah, very good websites, but I have not used any of these but they are, yeah, very good. So I use this Job Valley. Job Valley is also a website. It's a German website, and you just apply it there. Of course, it's free. First of all, yeah, people will be like,
hmm,
okay, paisa lete hain kya? No, they don't charge anything.
hmm,
You just apply, and then they call you back. Okay, now the catch is here. If you know German language, your probability of getting a job would be like a million times more than if you do not know the German language. I'll give an example here. So I came here in November, end of November 2021, and I was like just randomly scrolling through this Job Valley, and I just applied to it. And the person immediately called me the next day, and although in the job description it was written, okay, they don't need German. I mean, basic knowledge, hello, hi, guten tag, and all. If we know that much is okay. That was written in job description. and still he was talking in German. Maybe he wanted to test me or what, I don't know. But I was like, okay, I've learned till B2, so why not speak it? So I spoke it, and as soon as I started speaking in it, he got the confidence, okay, this guy knows what he's saying. So then he switched to English. And then I asked him, okay, why did you, why were you speaking in German? Because the job description does not want that. He said that no, although it states that we do not require the language, but still it's good to know, because there are many other opportunities as well where he could have used me if I knew German. So that's the way he was trying to test me. And then I luckily got the job. And so yeah, that was pretty cool. And I was like, okay. And I could not even believe it that I got job within 2 to 3 weeks. And yeah, that was pretty cool. So the language is one of the important thing. I'm not saying that without language you won't be able to survive, but it will be difficult. It would be like potholes everywhere. For example, when you ride an auto and you would like your auto not to go in any potholes, yeah. So language is like that. Language fills up all the potholes that you have, and it opens a lot of opportunities. So I use this job valley. Stepstone, I used it. Stepstone would be more beneficial if you use for, let's say, practicum, for internship or full-time jobs. I have not so bad experience, I would say, but I have not used Stepstone much. But I have been scheduled for interview for Stepstones and all. And many people say Indeed, eBay, and Zing, they are also, and LinkedIn also is there. So there are a lot of opportunities, and do not worry if you just land up in Germany and are lost. So do not worry about the jobs.
Right, and you have completed B2 before going to Germany. So what has helped you in learning German? And also one more question, what advice would you like to give to those who have recently started learning German and are going to Germany very soon, or maybe sometime in the near future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. As I already said, learning German. So I had completed my B2 German since I was in India. It was a Corona time period, and of course, yeah, the studium, the university, the course which I'm studying, it's a bilingual course. It's a mix of German and it's a mix of English language. Yeah, so I had no option. I had to do B2, and that time we had Corona time, so I was like, okay, let's better learn German language. And sadly to say, a lot of people underestimate the language. Yeah, of course, when I was like that, I was like, okay, what will happen if I learn German language? My study is going to be partially in English, and some of the German subjects which are there, I'll manage. Dekh lenge tab ka. But sadly, it was not like that. I soon realized after coming to Germany, there are a couple of friends or colleagues of mine who are studying with me, and they just, passed. What do we call this? B2 said they just attended some classes, and then they had appeared exam and they got the B2 certificate. And yeah, they got the admission too. But after coming to Germany and finding jobs, they had tremendous problem finding jobs, because people, they will schedule your interview, they will talk in German, and if you do not say anything more than Guten Morgen and Guten Tag, so it doesn't make sense. And you're writing in your CV that you have done B2. So just for certificate, that is very dangerous, I would say. Please do not do that just for certificate. Even though if you don't have certificate and you have the proficiency, that is okay. These people, of course, they demand certificate and all, but if you can speak, if you have the proficiency, then they are okay with it. So first is that, learn the language. And the second, I would like to say, yeah, my course, as I said, it was in German a little bit and in English. It was a bilingual course. So these guys, they could not understand literally anything because the professor spoke everything in German, and we were underestimating it. We were like, okay, most of them are, yeah, from English background. I mean, they have the language as English, and so professor will be like, he'll be speaking in English, but no, it was not like that. German means German. So the subject which was in German, it was 100% spoken in German, and exam was also written in German. We had an option of writing in English, but yeah, my understanding point of view was everything. So these guys could not manage that, and then they are just postponing this subject, after semester like that. So that was one thing. And what helped me learning German? Okay, so first is, you have to have your clear motivation. My motivation behind learning German was to get this admission. Coming from a middle class family, I completely understand how excruciating painful it is to go to US or Canada or Australia, because they are super, super, super costly. And Germany is one of the best options for us. While because um, study is free in public university, study is free. We pay a semester contribution of, let's say, roughly 200 to 300 euros on an average, but that's in 6 months, and that we can simply manage after coming here, manage by doing jobs or anything. Yeah, so that's okay. But the studium, the entire course is free. So my reason of choosing this was only this reason: finance and free universities. And yeah, so what helped me? Yeah, so learning by TLS, I initially had joined some random class. Of course, yeah, I would like to emphasize on this as well. If you join a class, just make sure the layer person, how do we call this, the profession, the teacher, yeah, the teacher has a qualified background, and he knows what he does, or they know what they do. Simply do not join any class because they are cheap. I did this mistake in A1 N2. I did this mistake, and my A2 was total catastrophe. And then I joined here with Shubham, and yeah, slowly and steadily, it took a lot of time. B1 took a lot of time to mend. It took a longer than normal people, but yeah, so that helped me a lot.
All right. Thanks, Vishant, for the insights. And you will be answering more questions when we get doubts or questions in the chat box. So we also have Tuhin here with us. Tuhin has not studied in Germany. He did his engineering in India itself, and then he went to Germany and is currently working in the IT sector in Nuremberg. Nuremberg is the second largest city in Bavaria after Munich. So, Tuhin, how did you apply for a job from India?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, it was like I always wanted to move in a European country. So it was not specifically Germany, but I had some colleagues when I was working in India who I saw they moved to Germany. They were in the same field as I am right now. So that's when I came to know there are companies in Germany who hire foreign workers, especially in the IT sector. But yeah, the number of companies are very limited because, as some of the other speakers were saying, that knowing German is very important. But yeah, there are still few companies in Germany whose company language is English. So they seek foreign workers, of course, who do not know German. It's just the skill that matters. So my reference was from my ex-colleague. So I applied in LinkedIn. I researched a bit also in Google. So if you search with keywords like visa sponsorship companies in Germany, so you will definitely get some results. And you can know those company names, either go to their websites, directly apply there, or find their openings in LinkedIn or the other websites that Shubham was showing in one of the slides. You can also find their openings there. But what you need to do is very important. You need to make a resume in German format. So there is a German format for resume, which is very different from the ones that we use in India. And you have to stand out a bit, to be honest. So resume should be a good resume. Work X and everything does matter, because if you understand, people are applying all over the world for that job because they do not specifically have they do not specifically recruit people only from India or the subcontinent. So they get applications from all around the world. But yeah, if you have a good resume, if they feel if what they're looking for, if they find it in your resume, they'll definitely send out a mail and schedule an interview. And then the next steps are very much similar. Like people who have been working in India, especially in the IT sector, I mean, there are technical rounds, there are coding rounds, there are HR rounds. It's very similar. There is nothing different. The only thing matters is getting a call, which is very, it's not very easy, because I remember I was applying in bulk when I was doing some research, and 95% were all rejections, saying that we do not sponsor visas. And yes, the numbers are very limited. But having said that, there are companies who do. So if you do some research, you'll definitely get that.
Okay. And is there a shortage of skilled workforce in Germany right now? Because we have been hearing this for a while, that there is a shortage of skilled workforce in Germany.
For the IT sector, there is definitely, yes, they're hiring a lot. I think I was reading in the news that there are coming up with some changes in the law so that making this process more smoother. One thing where Germany stands out, if you compare it with other European countries, is getting the employment visas and everything are relatively very easier in Germany than in other countries, because I have friends who are working in Belgium, in Denmark. They say it's getting a visa, even though they have landed in the country, respective countries have started working, but getting a PR, like a settlement permit, and then getting the employment visas are not very easy there. They have to wait a lot. But in Germany, even though it's very slow, German bureaucracy is usually very slow, but eventually you get it. I mean, if you have all the documents in place, whatever the Ausländerbehörde or the immigration office asks from you, if everything is in place, they'll definitely issue you the resident permit cards.
Okay. And how does the job market for people in the IT sector and for the engineering candidates look like in Germany?
Right now, it's looking promising. If I tell you, when I moved, I have been in Germany just for one and a half year now. But after I have moved, I've seen many of my friends have followed me and moved here. So yeah, for the IT sector, I can tell you there's a lot of promise. So like web developers, application developers, backend developers, full stack developers, I think they have a lot of requirements nowadays. So I would definitely recommend if somebody is planning to move to Europe, and they should look for Germany.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tuhin, for all the answers. And then we have Gitika with us here today. Gitika is also working in Germany, in Köln, which is the largest city in North Rhine-Westphalia. And I have two questions for you, Gitika. The first question is, actually, I wanted to first talk to Himadri about this thing about life in Munich, because he lives in Munich. So simple question, is Köln as a city as expensive as Munich? Because Munich is one of the most expensive cities in Germany, not only in Germany, across the world. So is Köln as a city as expensive as Munich? And second question is, how do you like the work life in Germany? Because you have worked for more than a decade in India before going to Germany. So comparison between work life in Germany with work life in India.
Okay, so first question, which is the cost of living, comparison between Munich and Köln. Munich is definitely expensive, and although it's a bit more cultural and bit more international when it comes to people preferring Munich, Berlin, or Düsseldorf over Cologne, because Cologne is smaller, but more historic and more cultural. My personal preference was not to go into any big city, because I was coming from a big city. I stayed in a big city all my life, so I wanted something quieter and cultural. So yeah, so Cologne offered me that blend, and cost of living definitely is not as high as Munich. I have colleagues in Munich, and in fact all over Germany. And my company is right listed here. I see in the slide, the third one, I see company listed right there. So yeah, so it's not that expensive, and it's pretty decent. We get everything. You go to any city in Germany, you have pretty much all the benefits that you would have in Munich. They're all available. It's just that if you're not going to a village, or not on the countryside, where you would have very limited resources, but Cologne has to offer everything. And in fact, it also hosts one of the biggest carnival in Europe, and which is just starting in a couple of weeks. So it is considered the party capital in NRW for a lot of reasons. So yeah. So from a cost of living perspective, I would say it's a decent place, but it has its challenges like any other German city, which is the housing, which I would say if you were to look for an independent housing, like I had to look for one, but if you are a student and if you're looking for shared apartments, then it's not an issue. Then you would find something very easily, and there are multiple forums where you could find these accommodations for students, basically. But independent housing, I would rather say that it is easier finding a job in Germany than finding a house. In my experience, I landed here in February 2021, and I still get rejections for the apartments that I see. And it's very difficult. I would like to call that out so that people come prepared when they are looking for a apartment for a family. If it is a shared apartment, I would say it's not an issue at all. But an individual apartment is difficult to get, so they should come prepared.
Right. I mean, in cities like Berlin, even for students also, it is super difficult to find an accommodation.
Yeah, Berlin, yes, Berlin, because Berlin is, I don't like, in my comparison, where I stay in the extreme end, in the western region, and Berlin for me, it's like London of Germany, because I don't even hear people speaking German.
Right?
Yeah. So it's like that. But in this part where I stay, I don't hear people speak English. So it's a very stark comparison, but overall it's great. And what was the second question?
The second question is a comparison between work life in Germany and India.
Yeah, that is huge, I must say. And I have had, as you mentioned, more than a decade of work experience. I have experienced life like I have never experienced in my professional career after having moved to Germany, because the maximum that I have worked here late is by 6 p.m. according to the German standards. Otherwise, I'm off at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
But the work-life balance is amazing. And as I think Vishant was talking about and Pavel was talking about, the time management and how you plan, that has moved to just next level, because we have plenty of time available after 5 o'clock for ourselves. I have been able to do so many things that I would just not be able to do back in India, like reading a book or creating a routine for myself or having time for myself. It's just not possible. And especially in Indian households I'm talking about, and even as students, we would come back, study, and manage a lot of things on our own, but it's not that difficult here. With the grocery scene being so simple, and adopting here in Germany to even the German foods. And I would talk from a vegetarian perspective. I don't know how people right there are vegetarians, but that's one of the major issues. Initially, it took me 15 to 20 minutes to buy 2 items of grocery because I had to read through the ingredient list. And now it doesn't take that long, thanks to you guys, because I'm a bit faster in reading the ingredient list. So yeah, so even food wise, it is not a challenge. Germans do offer a lot of vegan food and vegetarian food in the groceries. If food is one of the major component in the Indian society as well. So I thought I will touch upon that as well.
Right. Thank you for all the informations, and please stay here because we'll be getting some questions later on, and your guidance and your suggestions are required again. Himatri, is your mic working now?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible now.
Okay.
Right, so I have already given you introduction.
Had some problems regarding the mic, I think, for some outer software. Yeah.
So I had a question. What do you work as in Munich?
So I am working in Fraunhofer now as a scientific researcher, and my domain is into design of semiconductors, basically.
Right. And second question is about Munich, because you live in Munich. You were in Ilmenau previously when you were studying, and now you have moved to Munich. So my question is, how expensive is it to rent an apartment in a city like Munich? Let's say you want to rent a 1 BHK apartment, which is not too far from the city center. So how much do you need to pay as rent?
Yes, it is expensive if you compare to smaller cities like Ilmenau, and also for a 1 BHK, approximately near the city, you have to pay in a range of 1,200 to 1,400 euros per month.
Okay, and how much is it in a city like Ilmenau?
For a 1 BHK, I have not inquired for a 1 BHK, but I am sure it won't be more than 350 to 400.
Maybe Pavel could answer this question. Pavel, how much is it in your city?
Should be around, let's say, from starting 50 to it goes up to how much you want. But mine would is a normal apartment, 1 BHK apartment. It costs around altogether with it's 400.
Okay.
So it's quite
400
cheaper
in Ilmenau, and in Munich, in a city like Munich, you're paying 1200 to 1400. It could be more than that as well. Right, right. So is the difference in salary or wages also the same? Do you also make twice the money in Munich that you make in Ilmenau, or is like my question is there a drastic difference in the salary also?
So actually it depends. I mean, if you're a fresher applying for example, my previous experience was into IT, and now I'm into semiconductor domain. So the previous experience has not counted, you know. So my salary, whatever I'm getting now in Munich, if the company is same.
In general, you have to answer. I'm not asking how much you make, but in general, like,
no,
is there
so
a drastic
basically,
difference in the salary?
yeah, I mean it depends. I mean, the answer could not be a yes or no. I mean, it depends on your previous experience. If my previous experience was getting counted, then my salary would have been some more. But now whatever I'm getting is the same for all the cities wherever I have been working, you know, for the company, for this particular post, for this particular domain, like that it works.
Okay. And Himadin, I'm going to ask you an important question, or maybe one of the key questions of this webinar, which is about the wages in Germany. So my question is, how much can one earn up to with, let's say, a master's degree in Germany? Now, obviously, a difficult question to answer. It depends on what kind of master's you have and which field you want to work in. But let's say, what is the minimum salary of an absolute fresher with an engineering degree in Germany? Again, a
So
difficult
yeah, I
question,
mean
but maybe if you could.
yeah. So the answer would be kind of same. So it will depend. I mean, if your previous background, previous experience is in the same field which you were applying after your masters, then it would have been like you can bargain kind of. But if you're a fresher, maybe you have like completed your bachelor's and then you suddenly came into Germany, did your masters, so you will be treated as a fresher. So something around in your hand, you will be getting something in range of 2,600 to 3,000, like that.
In Munich or all over Germany? For an absolute beginner, I'm talking about an absolute beginner.
Yeah, in all over Germany, something like 2,600 to 3,000. If you're a fresher, like that.
Okay.
In hand, you will get something like that. But again, it depends. If it's a research industry, then a bit less. If it's a company, then a bit more. So yeah, that's why I said in a range of 2,600 to 3,000, kind of.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Himatri. Yeah. Right. Then we have Srijit also with us. Srijit, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. So Srijit did his master's in Germany and is currently working at Siemens in Erlangen. And Srijit, a different question for you. You have a very large friend circle and you have a lot of German friends. So how did you integrate yourself into the German culture, and how did you make so many friends in Germany? German friends I'm talking about.
Okay. Thanks, Shubham, for the nice introduction and the question. I think for me, the key to making friends in Germany wasn't much different from making friends in India. I think it's a social skill which we all should have. And I think it's also quite important because otherwise life in Germany could be like really depressing. So for making friends, I think an idea of having a lot of fun activities together is quite important. So we should be always like prepared to do something fun. And there are like certain these days, recently I'm finding there are several groups like Meetup, WhatsApp, and where you get different activities going on. So a bit of the thing is you have to keep yourself always updated what's going on in and around yourself. So I'm generally going for like hikes and also doing other group activities. So as I said, like social media is influencing this a lot. So when you go out for hiking, you meet a lot of new people. And also I am during my masters and also right now I'm involved a little bit into some clubs in and around the city. Like we organize some events or some things like that. And there you meet new people and I just keep myself open to new people and interact with them. And that helps. And during my master's, another thing which I did a lot was like, I think really, because I did my master's before the COVID period. So that time, one major thing which helped me making good friends was the library. So I think this is very different from the Indian culture of studying. But in Germany, when we are studying, we are always going to the library, and we are studying like really late, up to 12 at night. And everyone is staying awake, and they all are studying not only during exams, it's more intense during exams, but also throughout the year. And that helps really create a very good bond among ourselves. So I think that helped a lot. Apart from that, I also did some language courses where I got friends. Like, I won't say only German friends, but also like international friends, because they are also studying like language courses. And yeah, and you can always like meet friends of friends from there. And I also have really good old friends from Germany who are German, whom I met in some hackathon event or something like that. So that was also like really good. And yeah, I would say these are some things which are really helpful. And one of the most important thing is, I would say, is trying to speak a little bit of the language. If you can speak the language, or at least if you understand what they are speaking, maybe you don't speak it fully, but at least you can comprehend and you can respond. That helps a lot. At least in the starting, if you are going to a shop or something, you just start, hello, guten tag. Like, I did my B1, but I still don't say that I can speak really fluent, but I try. I make a lot of grammatical mistakes and all, like both Satyajit and but still I keep speaking something or the other, and they are like, okay, they are always open to it, and they also try to speak in English. And yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Srijit. There are two questions in the chat box. Not two, there are a couple of questions actually. One is, how much does an aerospace engineer with masters get in Darmstadt? Would anyone like to touch upon it? Maybe Pavel?
you can search in Glassdoor, because these are very specific questions.
Specific questions, very difficult to say.
I know somebody who has studied masters in aerospace and works in DLR right now. She's earning around 65.
Yeah, I would also like to add here something. Of course, if you're talking about aerospace and engineering background, then the average salary here per year, which you would get, is around, it starts from 58 to 65, and it depends on your skills and language and other things. So as Pavel correctly said, yeah, that's the range.
Right. And then there is one more question. As a first timer in Germany, sharing apartment or individual apartment, which is better and in social perspective to make good friends? So what is better if you're coming to Germany for the first time? Is a sharing apartment, a shared apartment, Wohngemeinschaft, a better option, or an individual apartment as a working professional if you're coming to Germany?
Should I
Hello?
say?
I think when you land up here, saving money is the first thing. And if you want to be socialized, then you can simply go outside. Your university would have been clubs, maybe in the city also. Sharing apartment would be a good option. You can save money and you will be having international friends as well with you. So yeah, of course, I would suggest sharing apartment.
All right. And then I think the question has been answered. How difficult is it to get a marketing job in Germany, and what would be the average salary?
I know some friend who is doing a marketing job. She's from Macedonia. She did her B1. She can speak German quite fluently. She is staying in Erlangen, but she's working in Munich. I don't think it took a lot of time for her to land a job, because she can speak German really well. So if you know the language, I think getting the marketing job is quite easy. And they also have a lot of, I think, open roles, and they pay also quite well.
Language is the main thing for marketing job. I know 2 person who is from arts background working into marketing roles, and they got it because like they have good Deutsch skills, so there are a lot of opportunities actually.
Okay.
I also know of
yes, please.
I also know a few people who are in marketing domain, and they also don't know German, and they are doing it quite well. But when it comes to changing jobs, that's when language will play a role.
Right. And then there's one more question. TU or University of Applied Sciences for Masters in Mechanical Engineering, which is the better option?
Depends what you want to do later on, right?
Yeah. So maybe would someone like to explain the difference between university and University of Applied Sciences?
Yeah, I would like to add on here. So basically, University of Applied Sciences is more into practical. If I have to say exactly, they have 90 credits, and the TU universities, they have 120 credits. But again, it's different from university to university, but that's the study pattern. But if you go to applied sciences, it's more of practical. As I said, it's 80% practical. You will be let's say visiting more industries and getting your hands-on experience like that. It's not exactly 80%, but give and take, more of practical, I mean to say. And in TU, it will be theoretical. Practical will be there, but not so much. The university which I come from, it's not, I would say, technical university. It's an applied science. It's called University of Duisburg Essen. So it's not a technical university, it's an applied science, but we have mix of both. So it's like not 80% practical, 20% this, but it's mixed, it's balanced now. And what was your other question you were saying? Regarding this?
Yeah, the difference between university and University of Applied Sciences.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so
yeah,
so it depends on which way. And also keep in mind in Germany that the universities play an important role, but it's not like that. For example, if you did from this university, it's so much good, and if you did from that university, it's bad. No, it's not like that. It just depends where you want to go, as my colleague said. And yeah, so be it mechanical TU or be it applied science mechanical, it's all good.
All right. And are public universities ranked higher than the private ones? Maybe.
I think general the public universities are ranked higher, and there are like public universities which are really good, and like you can just Google and know about them. For an example, University of Heidelberg, let's say, or Tübingen, or FAU, or Munich. These are really good universities. And then there are these private universities, but some of the private universities are also very good. Like I know, and they also place students really well.
Okay.
But the best part of studying in a public university, it's you get 100% scholarship for your studies, so it's all funded. So why not?
Right. Then there is a question about spouse visa also. Is someone on a spouse visa here? I think Dr. Meghna.
My wife
hello.
is a spouse
Yeah.
visa.
Yes. Are you on a spouse visa?
Yeah. I am on a spouse visa right now.
Right. So there is a question here. How much time does it take to get a spouse visa?
It took me around 3 to 4 months since the time I had applied. So, and there wasn't any problem with whatever documents or any issue with anything. You would get it quite easily.
Okay. Are there maybe a few things that need to be taken care of before you apply for the spouse visa, or is it super easy?
No, just the basic documents. That's it. The basic documents, whichever they ask. There's nothing any specific or anything of that sort.
All right.
It also depends, I think, the kind of category in which one is applying for the spouse visa. Like for the blue card, I've heard. Was it blue card for you, Meghna? I would like to ask.
Yeah, my husband has a blue card, so I don't. That wasn't an issue for me then.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm on certain groups where, from a paperwork perspective, I'd like to highlight that they do a proper background check as well. So a lot of the paperwork has to be in place for the spouse visa, because they do a lot of background check and it takes normally the time that Meghna mentioned here for the spouse visa.
All right. Himadri, would you also like to add something? Because I think Himadri's wife Pushpita was also on a spouse visa initially. So Himadri.
Yeah. So I mean, if any specific question is there, I can answer. But actually, I raised hand because I had a question to ask Dr. Meghna regarding the spouse visa, because my wife is on spouse visa, and I have applied for a blue card, which is like the date has not yet given. So if I get a blue card, then she will also get a blue card along with me, or she need to apply for
No,
that?
no, she won't be getting along with you. That she will have to apply again after she is here on her spouse visa after a period of time, then she might have to apply it again. She won't be getting it
Okay.
along with you.
She
Alright,
has
alright.
to qualify the other criterias.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there is a salary cap and everything, and when those are met, then she can apply.
All right. Yeah, thanks.
All right, there are a lot of questions actually, but I think we just have 10 or 15 more minutes at our disposal. So we need to proceed further, but don't worry, we'll answer all your questions. We'll reach out to you and we'll answer these questions. So now the second half of the webinar is about education in Germany. A lot of things have already been touched upon and discussed. So you already know that in public universities, there are no tuition fees in Germany. And there is one state in Germany, Baden-Württemberg, where most of the courses, even in public universities, are paid courses. So we have a student who is from Baden-Württemberg, Pankudi. So Pankudi, is it correct that most of the courses in Baden-Württemberg are paid courses?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, that's true. As far as I know, starting from 2017 or 2018, the state of Baden-Württemberg had passed this law where all the international students who are coming for like the fee exemption is only for students who are from who are coming here for engineering or some courses in management, not even MBA. So after 2018, even like these courses had to pay some addition. People coming in these courses had to pay some sort of tuition fees. So here in like all public universities also, the international students who are coming here have to pay 1,500 euros each semester for their course, like apart from the semester contribution that we make. So it is around 1,700 euros per semester that we have to pay.
Okay, and since you are paying, is the admission procedure then easier as compared to the courses that are not paid courses, or is it almost the same?
No, it's not like that. So I am studying in University of Stuttgart, which is a public university, and it is one of the PU9 universities in Germany. So the competition is really high. I am currently studying in computer science. I'm doing my master's in computer science, and here each semester we have like just 15 to 20 intakes. There are just 15 to 20 people who get admission into computer science. So it's not like it is easy. It's just the law of the government for international students that we have to abide by.
Okay, got it. All right, thanks, Pankudi. And now my colleague Satyajit will talk about how to apply and what all platforms can be used to apply at the German universities. So Satyajit, you can speak further.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Shubham. There are some platforms which we can use to find right courses. For example, you can see it here on the slide. DART is one of the best platforms that help us shortlist our courses basically. And on the DART website, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So on the DART website, you can search for specific international programs. Here's the link to it. I'll just paste it in the chat after I present. And one more important thing, that you can also use the Higher Education Compass. It is on the next slide. Or we call it the Hochschul Kompass in German, which also help us to shortlist our courses and which help us to find our desired courses. And then it comes to another portal, which is UniAssist. Yeah, so UniAssist is basically a portal through which we apply to a German university, and you can also search some courses in the UniAssist as well as, yeah. But some universities require you to apply on their official website. For example, such as I have another picture here to the next slide. That is here the TUM, for example, Technische Universität München, the Technical University of Munich, where you have to apply through their official website. They don't accept application through any other portal, basically. But now there is a trending topic that I would like to address. And before applying to any of the courses right now, one must apply for the APS certificate because some universities are asking for it and it is also required for the visa. So Yatharth, one of our students who got his APS done in just 4 weeks, and he will talk about now APS in detail and will suggest us a few things that must be taken care of before we apply to the APS certificate. And Yatharth has also been a student here since 2018, and he has recently gotten admit to Rosenheim University of Applied Sciences. And he's leaving for Germany in 3 weeks and had his visa appointment yesterday. So he can tell you about the APS certificate now. So Yatharth, you can take it from there and you can tell us how was it with you when you applied for the APS? What was your experiences and everything? Yeah.
And maybe if you have any questions about the visa formalities and all, because Yatharth had his visa interview yesterday only, he couldn't maybe address some of them as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for the nice introduction. Okay, so first, as everyone knows, APS is mandatory for applying to Germany for Indian students right now. So to apply for APS, you just need to create an account on the site, create a username and your required password. Just meet the basic criteria and then enter your personal details. So after you enter all your personal details, it's just basic info. Then next. In education details, if you are from CBSE board, please mention your percentage, not CGPA. There's an issue with CGPA on the APS side. It's also there on the details 2 part. Here also you have to mention your bachelor's details. So when you enter your bachelor's CGPA, it can only be entered in a single digit. So suppose your CGPA is 7.6, it will only be entered as 7. But as you send your transcript, in the APS report, it will be shown as 7.6. That is not an issue. And then if you're doing, if you want to do bachelor's in Germany, then you have to enter test year's details. And then, yeah, here, if you are doing bachelor's only, then you have to enter test year's details. Otherwise, it's not required. And then language details. My suggestion would be just send both IELTS and German certificate if you have it. IELTS is mandatory. German is optional, but I would suggest doing it. So because the university wouldn't need to require it to verify it again. Then for the payment, when I applied, there was no online payment. It was only offline payment. So we had to make a NEFT payment. Then we have to attach the transaction receipt and then send it to APS. It gets verified by APS when they open our application. Right now, they have created a new option of paying online, the CC Avenue. In that, you can just pay online and it gets automatically updated right the very next moment. So I would suggest everyone to do payment online.
All right.
I think.
Is it done, Yatharth?
Yeah. APS part is done.
Okay. Right now, I think we can take some more questions from the chat box.
Also, Rohit also got APS. He got it in 8 weeks.
8 weeks, and you got it in 4 weeks only.
Yeah, I applied on the very first day possible. Rohit applied a week or 2 weeks late.
So is it on a first come first serve basis or something like
that? Yeah. As soon as their documents reach there, they start the process. Like it's in the list.
Okay.
But after I think there was a website crash in November, and after that the time for the APS processing has gone up by a little bit.
All right. Okay, Yatharth, thank you. I think a lot of questions have already been answered in the chat box.
But I would just like to pause you, Shubham. So before we move ahead, a lot of us were talking about APS. So I just have a quick poll here I would like to launch now. And I would ask everyone to just select the right option. What does APS stand for? What is the full form of the APS? So you must have the question on your board and you can answer it, please, everyone. Okay, I guess everyone has answered, but
Also, one thing I would like to point out is that even if you submit German certificate, I think they only verify it if you have a B1 level of certification. It's written there because I applied with A2 and my German certificate did not get verified. So it was not written like this candidate has submitted A2 certificate. Only my IELTS score was there. So that's one point I'd like to give.
So if you want to submit a German certificate also, it should be at least B1.
Yeah, it should be at least B1.
Okay. Thanks, Rohit. I think most of us.
Also,
Yes.
another suggestion, just send all your documents in color copy with front and back side, both sides.
Yeah, the stamp of the university and the other things should be mentioned because it's usually in the back side of the copy. So please send that. Otherwise, they'll just not proceed with the application. They just demand more.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Rohit and Yatharth. And any other questions? Are there any other questions, Satyajit, in the chat box? Or shall we wind it up?
I would like to say something based on my experience. Like for students who are planning, like who are from computer science, electrical, electronics, or automobile field, they have an option of working here as a student in a company. So like working in a company makes your life a little easier, like rather than like if you work part-time at a restaurant, or let's say for example IKEA or places like that. So if you are actually interested in like working in a company, and like if you want to, then you should start applying as soon as you come here. You should, like for me, I was working in India for 2.5 years as a software engineer, as a full stack developer, and I came here to change my field. Right now I'm working into ML and AI. So I wanted to change my field, and I wanted to work as a student also in that field. And initially I thought that, I should spend 1 semester in, learning things and then applying for the job. But then I believe that as a student, they do not expect us to know that much, and they do not like take very serious interviews. So if you really want to work in a company, and if you really want to work in a company, then you should start applying as soon as you come here, and like within 1 or 2 months you will find a job here. And that would like really reduce your stress level, as to you have to study here, and then if 2 days you go on a part-time job, it becomes really tiring for you. So if there is an option to work in a company wherein you can work from home and like work at your own pace, then you should definitely go for it.
All right. Thanks, Pankruti, for all the suggestions. And thanks to all our speakers for sharing your experiences with us, for giving us so many suggestions, for giving us an insight about life in Germany, education in Germany. And I think this would suffice for today. We can.
Shubham, I would like to just add on one thing. There was one question I had asked Himadri to answer. So probably Himadri, could you answer that?
Which one?
It was from, Himadri, please.
Yeah, so for a employment blue card, things will happen only in Germany. It will not go to VFS for sure. Things will refer to India or VFS or Indian consulate, German consulate in India, only in case of spouse visa, those kind of things, that the verification gets done from India and then it comes back to Germany. But for a blue card thing, it happens only here. They will ask you the salary, your company agreement, for how long you have this contract, your address here in Germany, and those kind of stuff. So it will not definitely go to VFS or India.
I can add, Himadri. I've come on that visa, so I can add. So for Pravalika, if you already have the job offer, then you need your application will not be processed through VFS. It will be processed through German consulate. And initially, you'll be given a 6 months visa, which will be stamped by the German consulate. And when you come here, then you need to go to the Auslander's office, and then they will issue the blue card to you from here.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Yeah, got it, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Geetika.
you.
Thank you, Pravalika. Now I would like to add a question. I would like to ask this question to Dr. Ashfaq. Yeah, Dr. Ashfaq, are you there?
Yeah, hello. Hi.
Hi, yeah. So what are the areas for healthcare sector and clinical trials in Germany? So that is the question in the chat. Let's keep coming.
So I'm pursuing my master's or we can sagen, my residency here. So about the exact clinical research, yeah, there is a lot of scope also for that. I don't have much experience in that, but yeah, there is scope. I have one of my friends who's just started in research, and but the main thing is the language always in any area of in clinical expertise. So the language plays a very important role. So as I would say, especially in medical fields, B2 is bare minimum. B2 or Mindest or if you can go ahead, then C1. That is bare minimum. Without that, you cannot. It's very difficult.
Okay.
Thank you, Ashfaq.
There's one more question which has not been answered from Mohan. I've already applied for APS and mentioned CGPA for CBSE boards. What can be done now? So maybe Yatharth or Rohit, one of you.
It's not a problem. If it's 12th board, 12th grade CGPA, then it's not a big issue. They just ask that to verify it. The CGPA that is going to be entered in your APS certificate is your current CGPA, engineering or your bachelor CGPA.
Yeah, so Pritam, you can refer to the checklist. I will put the link in the chat. Yeah. Yes, you can refer to the checklist and you can prepare your documents accordingly. And if any document is missing, then you can upload it or the APS will call you for the verification and you can verify it at the time. It is not a problem. Yeah. Thank you. Now, Shubham, if you would like to go to the last point of our webinar. Yeah.
Do you want me to go to the last slide?
Yeah. And thank you. No, please. Yeah. Yes.
I think we have tried our level best to answer most of your questions. If anything remains unanswered, then we will reach out to you and answer those questions. And now we can call it a day here. So thank you to all the speakers who have joined us today and have shared their experiences of living, studying, working in Germany and given us an insight of life in Germany. So thank you to everyone for joining us today. And we are done with this webinar.